Hello. I have some very profound experiences that I'd like to make public. Many years ago, I was working in a very toxic environment. A lot of backbiting, a lot of bullying, and it was at this time that I was sort of propositioned by a woman to go out with me. She'd sort of spend a lot of time trying to tell me that she was, sort of an upright person with, against bullying and victimization, and anyway, so someone who has sort of Christian, morality, Christian ethics. And so I ended up going out with her. It took about a year of being indoctrinated with this stuff. She'd say that she wanted to run an orphanage, and that she never lies, and it looked real. It looked really, it looked, for all intents and purposes, as best as I could tell, and I've been through some really bad experiences before, so I was fairly careful about, what I understood, and anyway, as I say, after about a year of being indoctrinated with this stuff, I discovered, much to my chagrin, that she'd actually been betraying me, having affairs with other men, and it's something I don't do. It's the sort of thing that was very shocking to me. Is one of those, it was basically. Turns out that everything that she says, she's everything that is white is black type person, and it's basically, it caused an immense amount of shock and horror in me, trying to figure out what actually happened. It was like my entire consciousness was shattered, and I had to sort of piece together all these disparate fragments to try and figure out what was really going on, behind the scenes. How could this happen? What did I not realise? It was really, pushing my mind so hard to actually figure out what was going on, and it was at this time that she started turning my entire environment against me. Because I knew that she had done this, she basically wanted to turn to basically isolate and marginalise me, and that just heightened the level of betrayal even further. It was deeply, deeply shocking. She tried marginalising me from my work and from my home, even from my family, and later on to even marginalise me from society. And anyway, while this was going on, about a week after it, I was confronted by her on work grounds, and she said that she'd actually pushed a pregnant woman to suicide, having stolen her partner. Something that she'd and that's what had happened next. Now, I'd realised previously that she'd actually told me about 2 other suicides that she knew about, and it seemed pretty shocking that she could actually be responsible for their deaths as well. But I was dead certain that that she was telling me that I was to be next, and she'd done it before. Anyway, I spent a lot of time. I was pretty indignant about this, and I tried to stand up against her at work. I was in shock. I was in bad shock, but nevertheless, I tried to argue this with the HR department, that she'd actually, trying to get my head above her sociopathic behaviours, trying to demonstrate that what you see with her is not what you get. But because she's, very socially adept, it was very hard. It took about a year of being completely isolated by my workplace, and essentially even marginalised by the hierarchy, that after about my second complaint, there was a white powder envelope sent to the CEO, basically to frighten, to cause fear and hysteria against me. I had not yet got to the position of pointing out that she'd actually pushed these people to suicide. I was still moving up to that, to try and demonstrate it, that her behaviours had a clear pattern to them. And anyway, while the shock of being marginalised by this fear and hysteria campaign, I went to the doctors, and as well at the doctors, I saw a news program. Apparently there was a person in America who'd been pushed to suicide, having sent white powder envelopes by the FBI. This was like, I couldn't believe the shock. This is what she said she wanted me to do. She wanted me to commit suicide, and the coincidence was just overwhelming. I just couldn't believe it. It was just so overwhelming. Anyway, this caused a nervous breakdown in me, and for many years I was catatonic. I basically tried to digest the betrayal internally. I was surrounded by so much hate, I was being stalked by the FBI and ASIO, and I came close to suicide. I basically get myself healthy by nurturing, growing my own vegetables and nurturing that, which gave me just enough strength to keep going. Anyway, after about 4 years of this, I still wasn't getting much better. I was still very ill. I ended up being detained in my house by these people. I was drugged. They had me drugged, and then after that I was behaviourally modified, or at least that's what they call it. It's probably not. It's not an apt name. It's really. It's probably. I don't think it's the same behaviour modification you read on Wikipedia. It's something completely, a lot worse. Basically, it's like this complete destruction of your emotional self-control. I don't know how they did it, but they actually did it. and I had no control of my thoughts anymore, and basically it's the worst thing that a person can do. I mean, I spent so much of my time trying to be trying to fight the hate of trying to not become the hate of the people around me. If people that have been stalked by the state realise that it's a pretty traumatic experience. Anyway, the behaviour modification is basically the most disturbing thing that I've ever heard of. It's basically like trying to convert someone into a demon. It's, you know, the destruction of your capacity to choose what's right. It's the most hysterical hatred of another person's consciousness. It's like victimizing someone without end. It's like causing, probably an apt description would be, it's like giving somebody psychiatric AIDS. It's the destruction of the soul's immune system. I became aware that many other people have actually been behaviourally modified, and their souls have been pushed into hell. I survived by the tireless efforts of people who work for God, people who choose forgiveness, people who give people another chance to overcome their mistakes. They wanted to pull out all my mistakes, all the things I've done wrong in my life, all the things that I regret, and stone me to death with these things, while I'm completely helpless. And if it wasn't for people who gave a damn, I wouldn't be here. As far as I know, I'm the only person who's actually ever survived behaviour modification to actually speak about what actually happens. This is a technique used by security agencies and governments apparently to torture people who blow the whistle, or people they find to be reprehensible in some way. Basically, I was catatonic for 4 years, and they wanted to know everything about me, even though that there was and that was their excuse, that because I was catatonic, or I hadn't spoken about it to anybody, they basically behaviourally modified me and destroyed my ability to control my thoughts or resist, resist hatred. And this is something I just wanted to warn people about. This goes on. I believe that it should be wiped out without question. I don't care if the person is a mass murderer. Every soul has the right to actually defend themselves, and to resist evil, and that's essentially the point, that under no circumstance should this behaviour ever be allowed to continue. It's the most destructive thing, and it's the most worrying thing that has ever come to pass, I think. There seems to be immense hatred of sanity and sense of power in our society. It's the most disturbing thing about being human nowadays, that people can be crippled so badly by the state. What I realise is that choosing love is more important. Resisting it and not becoming the hatred of your enemies is the immune system of the world. And it doesn't matter what someone else has done or what crime has happened. If people can't control themselves control themselves against hatred, then that's the only thing preventing us from being susceptible to a Nazi-era behaviour, Nazi-era world. And anyway, that's my message. I wanted to thank you for listening, and I hope you stand up against this too.